What do y'all know about Alan Wake?
Our lucky underscore bun? Not prepared? Say it ain't so, bun. Say it ain't so.
I am often unprepared. Yeah, what do y'all think about the first Alan Wake? Because I think when this game came out, it was pretty well received. I remember people liking it well enough, and let me see, it was Xbox exclusive for like a years. I don't know, did it ever come out on PS3? I don't think it did. I think it was 360 exclusive, and then the remaster came out on other stuff. Yeah, it was pretty alright for a game I had zero expectations for. I can understand that. Yeah. Oh, I love the Duracells. I think it was Energizer, actually. So there were, in the original, ad placements all over the place. I'll talk about those. As the Lincoln car and Energizer batteries, and the big billboards for Verizon. Those big Verizon billboards, those were hilarious. Yeah.
Pronouns woke Alan?
Woke Alan? Oh my god. I did not care for the combat. Yeah, that's super fair. The only thing anyone knows about Alan Wake is that it's made by the same author of Max Payne. And that's it, so please tell us. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. There was this guy named Carl Jung. Okay, let me see. How do I crash course this? So... Sometimes a cigar is a cigar, except when it's not. No, that's Freud. Oh my gosh. Beginner weird shit psychologist thing. It's okay. I'm going to wait a little bit on it until we get into the video game to talk about it. But, Jung is a thing we have to talk about. I'm going to give a little bit of analytical psychology to this game. I'm gonna bring in my usual kind of, like, critical analysis. Maybe a little bit of Marxist analysis. We'll see. But let me bring you a little bit into what I do for these, okay? Yeah, the collective unconscious was Jung's big thing. So here's my here's what I do for these is I was on a ferry recently that was like exactly like the one at the start of this game. Oh, that's cool. Aww. So here's what I do for these critical analyses is usually when I play a game, if I enjoy it and I want to think more about it, where to start? Let me see. Usually if I play a game and I enjoy it, I'll look up reviews is where I'll start. Because I want to look at other people's perspectives of like what works and what doesn't. Like I really loved Alan Wake, but I also really loved reading Stephanie Sterling's review of it because they did not like it at all. And I thought that was fascinating. So I read that so I could see more from a different perspective. Does that make sense? That's the thing I really like to do. And the other thing is I look more into I look into anybody that's written like analyses of these. So in preparation for this stream, because I don't have a ton of original thoughts in my head, I go out and look for other people's so that those can give me inspiration to think about other things, right? One of the videos I watched for this was Sophie from Mars did a video on Alan Wake called The American Nightmare, I think, which was pretty insightful. I watched a video from 2017 from Games as Literature, I think is the name of the channel, which was a critical analysis of Alan Wake, and that one was pretty good. It was pretty good. I think they missed some stuff, but the video itself was enjoyable. And then I read a couple of sort of analyses, but most of them unfortunately wind up just being plot synopses, where it's like, here's what happens, Alan Wake explained, and I'm like, well, I don't want that. I know what happens. I want to know why it happens. Yeah. His name is A. Wake. His name is A. Wake. Man, what is Alan Wake's favorite breakfast cereal? Alan Flakes. Man, how does Alan cook his dinner? Alan bakes. Yeah. What's his favorite dessert, though? Alan cakes. No! His favorite shooter? Alan Quake. What does he do when he's thirsty? Alan Slakes.
The string of them has redeemed you, however. Good bun.
But how does he dance, though? Alan Shakes.
What's his favorite area to exercise? Alan's cake.
Oh my god. Who's the writer of this game? Samlin the Lakes. That one. Okay. Gonna work on that one. Gonna workshop that one. Don't worry about it. Gosh. So, I played Alan Wake. I played...
Is Alan a top or a bottom in bed? Alan takes.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Alan doesn't give. Alan takes.
You beat it by 2 seconds. Okay. So when I played Alan Wake, it was maybe a year after launch, and I remember this game being pretty well received. People were like, oh, Alan Wake, that game's great. But I didn't hear anything about it, and it looked like kind of a generic, like, survival horror shooter to me. Like, it looked fine. So I played it for a couple hours, and it was fine. It's unfortunately a little bit too slow and too dark to be an action shooter, but there's too much combat and action set pieces for it to be like a horror game. So it winds up in this weird middle ground where it's like Resident Evil 4, but it feels bad. Instead of good.
How does he drink water? Alan slakes.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. My goodness.
He had already said his piece. Alan spake.
Oh my goodness. Much like Alan Wake himself. Oh my god. Maybe. So, Sam Lake, the writer of this game, took, I think, like 5 years to write
What
it.
does he do when he sees a jocular? Alan stakes.
Yes.
He came out with a new restaurant. Alan steak.
Y'all keep coming up with the same one at the same time? Oh my goodness. Development was troubled. This was supposed to be an open world game and it didn't wind up being there. I did not do Deadly Premonition for an analysis. Alright. You know what? Alright. You know what? I'm gonna get into it. I've got some thoughts. But my experience with Alan Wake was basically that,
What's his favorite 90s shooter?
Yes.
Alan Wake.
My experience with Alan Wake was that I tried to play it, got maybe an hour or two in, totally put it down and dropped it. I had to go back to it later. I got maybe a third of the way through, put it down, stopped playing it again. And it wasn't until the remaster came out that I made it all the way through. And I thought it was fine. It's fine, perfectly acceptable. Just a totally okay game. It's all right. It was cool.
Wow, Alan almost got in a crash. Good thing Alan breaks.
No, he didn't though. Save that one for later. Save that one for a little bit, okay? So I wound up coming to this game, just kind of like finding it, fine. And I think a lot of people who played it, came away the same way. So I played Alan Wake 2 recently, and now I have totally rethought my opinion on this game. I was wrong. It's actually brilliant. And Sam Lake is a Finnish version of Hideo Kojima. Down to the silly wordplay. He named a character A Wake, for God's sakes. Sam Lake named a writer Alan Wake. He's in the lake. Okay. Ooh, we're gonna do this a lot. I'm gonna do a lot of this. Oh my god. I feel like that's going too far. It's not. I promise. I promise it's not. So remember when we played Metal Gear Solid, I was like, here's the questions I want you to be asking. Okay, so here's... I know, it's A Wake, right? God damn. All of the character names are brilliant, by the way. They're so good. Oh.
The best part, nobody can target your pocket, so I can say the most out-of-pocket things in relative safety.
Yeah. Max Payne is a name for a protagonist for an action shoot man is any better. No, it's great. I love it. It's so good. We're gonna talk a little bit about Max Payne later. But here's the topic that I want to broach before we even get started. Here's the question I want to ask you. Man, this is going to sound so weird if you're coming into this going, yeah, Alan Wake, that's that game with the flashlight where you shoot zombies. Cool. Hey, question. Where do ideas come from? Hey, where do you get ideas? How do those get in your head? Do they come from inside you or outside of you?
Brain damage.
Right. So, so that's a thing.
Stealing from other people.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't we cover this at the start?
The James Somerton approach. God. No, like, okay.
Drain damage.
That's what I have. That's what I have. Oh my god. So like, not what inspires you to have ideas, okay? Because there are things that you experience in your environment that will inspire ideas. But like, what causes those to have an idea in your head? Right? Like, where does your imagination come from? When you want to create something out of nothing, where does that come from? Because it can be inspired by things outside of yourself, but like, that's just the impetus for it to appear, not the actual thing itself, right? It doesn't give you the idea. The idea has to come from something in you that's reacting to your environment, right? According to Jung, the collective unconscious is part of it, yes. And I will be talking about that, actually, because we need to talk about Jung's idea of the ego, the collective unconscious, and the personal unconscious, which is a different thing.
Here. Is this going to be a complicated path that leads to being stored in the balls?
Ideas are often stored in the balls, yeah. Well, sorry, no, that's dreams. Dreams are a method of individuation, as Jung would say. I believe Jung's theory was dreams and free association and imagination are forms of individuation, which is a way to make the unconscious conscious. A way to bring things out of the personal or collective unconscious and bring them into the world. That's also a thing you see in Twin Peaks.
But what about random neuronal fire without external influence, that then is filtered into a new idea by the rest of the brain?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, if you want to talk purely physically, sure.
Obedience training hasn't been too successful yet. The only command he's learned so far is Alan Shake.
Mm-hmm. Twin Peaks, I love that place. I'm going to talk about Twin Peaks a lot. Actually. Could the Zeitgeist be considered a version of Jung's collective unconscious? Sort of, yeah. Yeah. The collective unconscious simply means like a collection of culturally accepted ideas that we're sort of ingrained with. And Jung goes back and forth a little bit on what that actually looks like. Sometimes it's actually just an unconscious force that exists that in like that anybody can draw from, and sometimes it's just things that you absorb because you exist inside a culture, you know? So, we'll see. Oh, I do want to talk about Persona. Yes. But, again, we'll get there. We will get there. So anyway, hopefully I've piqued your interest a little bit for this this Alan Wake game. I think it's pretty cool, actually. I think it's pretty neat. And I hope you do too.
Oh, I love Persona. Chie was my favorite.
Oh yeah. She is a good one. I like, what's the character from 3, Mitsuru? The redhead? She seems like she's got her shit together. This game isn't subtle about the things that inspired it. So, yes. But I think there's a reason for that. I'm going to point out this game's references and inspirations because they're very on the nose, but they're not Easter eggs. These references aren't in here because, oh, we liked this thing. It's because the game has something to say about the act of inspiration and inspiration as a form of individuation, as part of the creative process. This is a game about making art, and it has things to say about where your ideas come from, like where your creativity derives from. And I think that's interesting and cool. This game's not perfect, but I really like it. But anyway, let's get started. This game starts out really weird. And I'm gonna play it on easy, because, like, ugh. Instead of telling us what the references are, instead, when there's a reference, you just clap a lot. I'll clap when I see the thing. When I see the thing I recognize, I'll clap. I clapped when I saw the thing I recognize. Oh yeah, go ahead and delete my save file. Yeah.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations.
Fun.
They're antithetical
Okay,
to the poetry
let's get
of fear.
this train wreck a-rollin'.
In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer. I've always had a vivid imagination, but this dream unsettled me. It was wild and dark and weird,
I love that line.
by my standards. So yes, it began with a dream.
I'm gonna pause it here real quick. That's the most Garth Marenghi shit to say. I have such a vivid imagination. My mind is a dark place from which emerge nightmares that would defy sensibility. This story is dark and twisted even by my standards. I could describe it for you, but I'm afraid it would snap your mind. I'm something of an empath. Oh my god, I love it.
Following a typical nightmare pattern, I was late, desperately trying to reach my destination, a lighthouse. For some urgent reason, I couldn't remember. I'd been driving too fast down a coastal road to get there. I'd seen the hitchhiker too late.
You should have hit the Allen brakes. Okay, we did it. We did it. We saved the joke. We saved it, and now we used it. All right. Okay, we did it. Game's kind of quiet. Still? I can turn it up a little. Okay. Huh? Was that Stephen King? So, look, I clapped. Look, I'm clapping. I'm clapping at the thing I recognized. Hey, do you remember just before Pet Sematary, Stephen King almost got into a car crash? That inspired him to write the thing? I know what that is. I recognize that thing.
He was dead. I was convinced they'd put me in jail and I would never see Alice again.
That's your concern? What a self-centered piece of shit. That man is dead, and he's like, oh no, I'm gonna go to jail.
I was in shock from the crash. I could hardly stay on my feet.
No, I'm good with the controls. This looks kind of like my car. Look. Alan's driving around with 1 billion copies of his book. That's The Sudden Stop.
I had to go to the lighthouse. I knew there was something important waiting for me there.
Oh,
The radiator had broken when I hit the hitchhiker. The car wasn't going anywhere.
I mean, that'll still run. It'll just overheat. Like, whatever. So, let me think. All right. So here's a thing, is that Alan Wake is famous for writing a series of crime novels. This is his final one, The Sudden Stop, where he killed off his detective character, Alex Casey. Coincidentally, and purely from a standpoint of irony, Sam Lake is the writer of this game, famous for writing a character named Max Payne, a grizzled detective. I'm sure it's a coincidence.
I was certain I had just driven from this direction, but now the road was blocked.
That's weird, but it's a dream, that's fine. Who has his face? Sam Lake's face is the face of Max Payne, yes. So here's one of my big complaints about this game, is that a lot of the game is going to be this. Wandering around in the woods is kind of the majority of the gameplay of this. Which is why it's not my favorite game to play. But I do love thinking about it. I love
The bridge
talking
had
about
collapsed.
it.
I'd have to find another way to the lighthouse.
Who's this missing guy? Have you seen this man? Have you seen that man? Has anyone seen this guy? Oh, hey, there's the Sudden Stop. An Alex Casey thriller.
You don't even recognize me, do you,
Snakes.
Ryder?
Why did it have to
Think
be
you're
Alan
God?
Snakes?
You think you could just make up stuff? Play with people's lives and kill them when you think it adds to the drama? You're in this story now, and I'll make you suffer. You're a king. Be a single readable sentence in your books if it wasn't for your editor. You'll never publish another one of your shitty stories, 'cause I'm gonna kill you. It's not like your stories are any good. Not like they have any artistic merit. You're a lousy writer. Cheap thrills and pretentious shit. That's all you're good for. Just look at me. Look at your work.
Oh, that's a line that shows up again in 2, and it's fucking awesome. God. Mm, the best thing about this is that this is a dream that Alan's having that is like manifestations from his subconscious.
Lucky Bun couldn't stop thinking about Twin Peaks. The femboy met up with his dragon Naga friend Ambience. Prismatic was her alias as she was praised the characters of Bugsnax, while she mentioned Evil West. Hey Prismatic, welcome back to the Kingdom of Hearts, your majesty. I'll play them, I promise. How are your Twin Peaks doing? I mean, that dress is showing a bit of Twin Peaks. Apologies, I've been thinking of Twin Peaks and Silent Hill. We'll talk later. This bun has to stream.
Is this game really making the critics of Alan's work to be the bad guys? In Alan's head, yes. So this is a dream that Alan's having, right? So anything that exists in here is a part of his subconscious. That's why, like, the posters have his book cover on them, even though that doesn't make any sense. That's not a physicality of the world. When this character is talking, when he says, look at your work, look at me, what he means is that he's a character being written by Alan. It's Alan's art criticizing him for its creation. The thing is that it's a critic of his work, but Alan is his own biggest critic. Because, like, that's a character in the dream he's having. It's a character in his story. And it's it's mad because Alan has written it to be this way. But it's also struggling because it's not perfect. It doesn't even see itself as being good. And I think most artists can sympathize with that feeling. If that makes sense. There is an inherent struggle when you have an idea in your head and you're trying to put it into a physical form. It's never, ever going to be as perfect as it exists inside you. And when it comes out, I think a lot of people's first reaction is to criticize the things about it that aren't the way that they want the perfect thing to be. But the problem is that ideas can never be made into physical things one-to-one. It can never happen. And we just have to be okay with that. But there is this like internal struggle with that. And for the art itself, for the character in the story to put that into words is very fun. Is Alan Wake Sam Lake's self-insert for venting? Yes. Yes. This game comes from a very dark place, but kinda. I wonder if that diver's important. I wonder if that's gonna come back. Should I scan this QR code? Where is this gonna take me? I'd have to... Hang on a sec. Switch my thing to the thing. Hang on, I got this. Ah, yes, it's a YouTube link. All right. Okay. Would you all like to watch a YouTube video real quick? Hmm. Hang on a sec. So these were added for... Hang on a sec. These QR codes were added in the remaster. Unlisted videos? Cool. Okay, it's the first minute and 3 of this one. All right, I got it. I got it. It's not the Bright Falls prequel series. No, but I do want to watch that. I would like to watch that, actually. Maybe after the intro sequence? We could take a look at that one? Here we go. Yeah, Bright Falls is pretty darn good.
I was trapped here. Had been for what felt like years. Outside reality. What we count as real. I wrote to find a way out. I wrote to master this place. To learn its secrets. Use that knowledge to rewrite my reality. Once upon a time, I had written hard-boiled crime books set in New York City. Till I was sick of it. The Alex Casey books. A detective solving cases of murder, corruption and madness in the Dark City. This place tapped into my unconscious mind. Drew from there. Twisting what it stole into a nightmare that took shape around me. A mystery. A detective story. I needed a detective to guide me. Echoes of Casey haunted me.
All right, so that's the first one. This is from the AWE DLC from Control. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Well, that'll make a little more sense later. Yumps.
You missed your deadline! Damn. You can't stop.
Oh, well done. Thank you. Oh no, it's my editor! Ow. Successful dodges are sometimes highlighted with a cinematic moment.
From the story I'd been working on.
How does it feel to die by the hands of your own creation?
Look at me, look at your work.
Mary
Shelley much. Yeah, there's something a little little Frankenstein-y about it. I could see that.
Hurry!
Who are you?
Mr. Week, it's me. Clay Stewart, remember? Quickly, get inside!
Oh, Clay, of course. Hi, how you doing?
Oh no! Stop! No! Damn it, die! No! No! No!
And good old Clay Stewart. Okay, bye, Clay.
I was trapped. There was no way out.
This game is so up its own ass. I'm gonna say yes, but... Oh, that's weird.
The cabin was a death trap. I had to get out.
So there's a poster on the wall over here that didn't exist in the original. This is a new thing. Yes, this is the remake, yeah.
Follow the light.
Hey, that's the voice of Max Payne.
You are hurt. You should go into the light. You are only safe there. Well done. I have something important to tell you. It goes like this. For he did not know that beyond the lake he called home lies a deeper, darker ocean green, where waves are both wilder and more serene. To its ports I've been. To its ports I've been. Do you understand?
No.
Follow my light.
It's an interesting poem.
I'm sad the remaster doesn't have the hilarious product placement.
I agree.
Your dream to teach you. The darkness is dangerous. It's sleeping now. When it feels you coming, it will wake up. There's no time. I can only show you the most important thing. The hitchhiker has been taken over by the dark presence. You can't hurt him now. The darkness protects him from all harm. Only light can drive the darkness away and make him vulnerable again. Here, take the light. Turn your flashlight toward him and burn the darkness away. You did it. Now the darkness no longer protects him, but it's still inside, controlling him. He can't be saved. He's still a threat. He is still your enemy. Here, take the gun. Pick up the revolver.
Now you'll die.
I guess this sort of tutorial was necessary for the time. So this game came out in like 2010, right? I understand who Sam Lake represents now. I feel bad for saying Max Payne is the only game he's known for. You'll see. Don't worry about it. Like, this whole section in the beginning is very strange. It is appropriate to start the game with a dream section, like a dream. That makes sense. But like, yeah, very much cut off their limbs era, right? Because the idea of like shining the flashlight at an enemy in order to weaken them and then shoot them is something that doesn't really require this level of explanation. it's pretty straightforward, I think, but
You've
I don't
done
know.
well. Remember what I've taught you. That is all. I will give you back your dream now.
In the nightmare, a terrible darkness was taking over the world. The lighthouse was the last safe place on Earth.
So here's the thing that I want to point out really quick, is that you know, when we start this game, Alan is like, I have a more vivid imagination than most. Like, oh, I'm so creative and imaginative. And this is the dream he comes up with? This is his dream?
And now I'm gonna kill
Like, it's not even that weird. Wobbly, thank you for the raid. Oh my goodness. How are you? Oh my gosh. How's it going, y'all? Oh my goodness. United, thank you so much for the follow, my fur and whiskers. How you doing? Alan, I know him. What's his favorite breakfast cereal? It's Alan Flakes. Checking out Voices of the Void. Interesting. Interesting. No. Wobbly just rated Alan Snake. Damn, that's good. That's good. That's pretty
Movie
good.
Feels like sun muffins. Alan bakes.
Oh, he does. Oh boy, does he. Oh my goodness. Take that back. Damn, look at that butt. Alan's cake.
This is it, bitch.
My goodness. Ow! Thanks, Kuro. Oh my goodness. Thanks, Crew Dog. That thing's horrible. That thing is terrible. Make it go away. God, I can't believe Alan's gone woke.
You're dead. Just like
I love that gun. That thing's great. That flare gun's delightful. Anyway, welcome on in, Raiders. How's it going? I am Lucky Bun, and I'm
Do
doing
not
a
give
critical
her
analysis of
impact
Alan
round,
Wake.
take 'em out.
I thought I would talk about what makes this game actually super good and really interesting to think about. And I'm really excited to share it with you. Gosh. For starters, I just want to point out that like Alan is like, oh man, my imagination is darker and more impressive than most. I've got quite an imagination. And then this is the dream he comes up with, is just, you know, it's a lighthouse. I love this guy. It's kind of a stormy lighthouse, that's all. Being bullied by spooky neighbors, yeah.
I can keep this up forever.
Alan's got, like... Alan's got the temperament of that, like, a guy on Reddit who lucid dreamed one time. And won't shut the fuck up about it. It's like, yeah, the inner machinations of my mind are dark and twisted. You'd go crazy in here. Could have stopped it with that one guy on Reddit, honestly. Maybe a bit, yeah. Get a close-up view of that Alan cake.
Congrats, Bun. You are now officially farther than I got in this game.
Officially? Officially? His name is A.
Baby, just
Wake.
another nightmare. Everything's fine. You dozed off.
Right. Anything more than dozed off would be news for everyone.
So this is Alice. No, Alan, wake me up inside. A lot of A names in this game. Everybody's got an A name in this game.
Cheer up, handsome. We're here.
A name of no literary significance to Bun whatsoever. I like that cute little title sequence there. That's fun. That's cute. This town is even smaller than Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is positively massive compared to this place. It's only got
Let's
one
act
peak.
like we're on vacation. Go stand next to that old gentleman there. I want a shot of you with the town in the background.
Dream Demon.
Sure.
Invest
I'll
in
even give you
grammar.
a title for the shot.
Thank you
A
so much for
city
the follows.
Moments before he got eaten by a bear.
I know this guy.
Hi.
Hello there. You picked a good time to visit our town. Deerfest is just 2 weeks away.
I love Deerfest.
Deerfest, huh? Did you hear that, honey?
You have a lovely wife. If you don't mind me saying. I'm Pat Maine, by the way. Nice to meet you.
We like
Yeah,
Pat Maine.
I'm Alan Wake.
I won't pretend I don't recognize a famous writer such as yourself, Mr. Wake. A pleasure. I'm an avid reader myself. I hope this isn't too presumptuous of me, but I'm the night host at the local radio station. Any chance I could get an interview?
Look, Mr. Maine, I'm on vacation. In fact, I'd appreciate it if we could keep my being here just between the two of us. I'm sure you understand.
Fair enough. You can trust me to be discreet. Not a hard man to track down if you change your mind, though. I hope you two have a lovely holiday.
The band that was in the Ashtray Mason Control is in Alan Wake, yes.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
I got a couple of really good ones. And I see you made a friend. That's cute.
Right. Yeah?
Hey, bestseller, how's my favorite writer? Are you there yet?
Barry. Yeah.
We love Barry.
Locals giving you trouble? Just say the word and I'll hop on a plane and come make sure that you're left alone, Al.
No, Barry, we're fine.
Great, great. Just want to make sure you can relax and recharge. So, how is the place? Has it gotten your creative juices flowing?
Barry, we're just settling in.
Okay, Al. I'll call back later to make sure you're doing okay. And you call me if there's a problem, okay? Okay. I'm just looking out for you, buddy. Talk to you later.
I love you too, Barry.
You know he's going to be calling you every 5 minutes.
Barry is Barry. I can always turn off the phone.
What did I tell you?
Text message from Barry. He says hi to you too.
Love a deer fest.
Alan, we're here. Come on, let's get back to the car.
He seems very nice. Yeah, true. Big true. Kind of interesting that this is the car we were driving in the nightmare.
Slowpoke. You get the full service.
That's not our car.
I've made all the arrangements. I drive the car. I'll even carry the bags. All you have to do is drag your cute butt into the car and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, sounds like...
We need to stop at the local diner to get the cabin key from the landlord, a Mr. Carl Stuckey. He's waiting for us. I'll go fill her up while you get the key. I'll pick you up here in, say, 15 minutes?
Sure.
Stucky.
Alan, thank you for coming here with me.
I love you too. Go on. I'll promise to behave. I'd forgotten there were still places like this. Towns where everybody knew everybody.
Welcome to the Oh Dear Diner.
Hi, I was wondering if you could help me. I'm looking for...
Mr. Wake. Alan Wake. Oh, God! I am your biggest fan. I know people say that all the time, but I really am.
I'm glad to hear that.
Rose.
Rose, I'm looking for Mr. Stuckey. Carl Stuckey?
Carl? Oh, of course, Mr. Wake. He must have gone to visit the restroom. He'll be back in a moment. I can't believe it. I've got all of your books. I got the cutout from the bookstore when they took it out of the window.
And you keep it here. Well, okay. Good for you.
Okay, couple things. One, this is the Oh Dear Diner. It's a cute name. I enjoy it. I love it. This guy's pretty famous, relatively famous. He's like a Stephen King, right? The Oh Dear Diner is a reference to the Double R Diner from Twin Peaks. They've got a damn good coffee and cherry pie. I just want to point that out again because, again, this is not an Easter egg. This is textual. I also want to take a look at this standee of Alan Wake.
Just don't blame me when you
The
fall in
sudden
love,
stop
'cause
his.
it'll
I'm
break
pretty
your
sure.
heart.
A callback to Max Payne.
Here is no longer here.
Probably, yeah. I think there's a Max Payne monologue that includes the line, the sudden stop. Oh, Twin Peaks is definitely worth watching, yes. It's quite entertaining. I really like it. So here's... So what do y'all know about a guy named Carl Jung? So... Oh, boy. So... I think what this game, one of the things that this game wants to explore is where do ideas come from? Where do we get our inspiration from? Where do we get creativity from? Like, what is it? Where is it that our imagination is drawing from? Okay, so Carl Jung, what Jung would call analytical psychology. Unlike Freud, who split the brain into the ego, the superego, and the id, Jung separated the brain into the ego, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. And these are separated into different, these contain different archetypes. So all of those are under the branch of the self. The ego is what mediates the environment and the unconscious, or what's known as the shadow. The shadow. So the shadow is part of your unconscious self, which is kind of the true self. So the shadow is your animalistic nature. There's things like instinct in there, but there's also a lot of your unconscious self in there. And that's where your creativity actually draws from, is from the shadow self. And the ego is what mediates between the shadow and environment. So that's where Jung would probably say that art comes from, is it's drawing from the shadow and using the ego to mediate it into the physical world, bringing it from the unconscious into the conscious world through a process called individuation. There's also another aspect of self called the persona. The persona is the mask. It's the face that we put on, that we present to the outside world. And it's usually a manner of self-image that is not necessarily representative of an internal truth, but it is the face that other people see us as. And I just want to point the persona out when we're talking about this cardboard cutout of Alan Wake here, holding his book.
Yeah, that makes two of us.
That everybody looks at and goes, oh my God, look, it's Alan Wake, just like my cardboard cutout of Alan Wake, just like my two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional person. Wow, he's just like my self-image of this guy. How parasocial is that? I just want to point that out for some reason. That's all. I just want to point that out for some reason. We have already seen in this game a shadow and a persona. That's what I think. That's what I think. That's what I think. And I would be remiss if I didn't also mention the fourth part of the self, which is the anima or the animus, which is the feminine aspects of the masculine or the masculine aspects of the feminine. Because Freud and Jung were good friends and for a while and then not. But also Jung is really interested in things called syzygies, which are a whole made of opposites, right? The what? What? Syzygies. SYZYGY.
Size cardboard cutout of myself in half while repeating, Shadow, the final destroyer.
The final destroyer. So a syzygy is a whole thing that's made out of opposites. So like yin and yang, right, are a whole made of dichotomies. Right. So light and dark would be a syzygy, because any aspect of the self, like the shadow or the persona or the anima or the animus, have a light and a dark side. Jung would argue, right? Anima and animus are also a syzygy because they're diametric concepts that make a single whole. Another one would be introvert and extrovert, which are also aspects of every part of the self. Every part of the self also has introverted and extroverted aspects to them, right? Influenced crowd, Levi Strauss. So I want us to be looking for things like syzygies, because they're prevalent in here. And I also want us to be looking for aspects of things like the persona and the shadow, and ideas of self. Because then we're going to have to talk about the collective unconscious, and that's its own thing. Lucky looks through his chat. Sees that Friend Me Seb commented. He then realized Seb is making an Alan Wake joke.
Are you staying long, Mr. Wake? I can't believe it. I'm having a conversation with Alan Wake.
I like Rose. She's funny.
Are you on your own, or is your wife with you? I can show you the town if you want. I get off work at 6.
Thanks, Rose. We'll be sure to keep that in mind.
Thanks.
Do me a favor, Sonny. I could really use a tune right now. Coconut, number 6 in the jukebox.
Again?
I'd do it myself, but both of my legs have gone to sleep. Bad circulation. Yeah.
Are you serious? Coconut again? You disgust me. Call yourself a rocker. Unbelievable.
I love these guys. I don't want to jump too far again.
I'm in the coconut. Drink them both up.
But these guys are great.
We're brothers. Don't think I won't murder you in your sleep.
So, Jung had a concept of the collective unconscious known as archetypes. Okay? The persona and the shadow are also archetypes, but they're like personal archetypes. There's also like collective archetypes, which are usually more like they're a way to personify cultural concepts. If anyone has played Alan Wake 2, and we will get there, there are a bunch of collectible dolls in that game that are things like the maiden, the trickster, the wise old man, the monster, the hero, etc. So those are Jungian archetypes. And one of the important ones in the collective unconscious is really important in Control as well. Of course. But yeah. Objects of power represent cultural archetypes, of course. Yeah. They're archetypical objects. That's really, really important in Control. But it's important here too, and a lot of characters in this game, I would argue, are actually representative of some of Jung's archetypes. These two right here may actually represent one of Jung's archetypes, the wise old man or the sage, who is usually an older masculine figure, not always, who represents the search for and the exploration of truth, to the detriment of lies, which is really interesting to think about in the face of the fact that art is a lie that reveals truth. If you've ever seen This Is Not a Pipe, the idea behind that painting is that it is a lie. It does not represent, it is not a pipe. It is a representation of a pipe. It is not a real thing. It is, right, the treachery of images, exactly. Which is an interesting thing to think about because it's representative of a truth. And that's one cool thing that art should do, is be an exploration of a truth without being an objective fact. That is what they do. Art is a lie. Even things like watching this stream right now, what you're actually watching is a series of flashing lights of different colors that are tricking your eyes into seeing motion. into seeing shapes and representations that, you know, your brain puts together into a holistic
BTW. This
moving
is a
image.
tangent, but Magritte painted some absolute bangers. He's not just the weird pipe guy.
I totally agree. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
This is a lie that I can get behind though. That is to say, you can flash me anytime smile.
It's really weird to me, and this is a tangent, but it's really weird to me that stupid fuckos like Jordan Peterson are so enamored with Jungian psychology. Like that's all he thinks about. Like he's super into Jungian psychology, but he's also like, oh, we need to pursue truth at all cost. And it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, but why though? Stupid. Like, we need facts and logic or reveal truth. And it's like, no, they don't. Sometimes lies reveal truth better than facts and logic. Like, facts do. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But he's just devoid of any kind of, like, artistic, like, thought entirely, so. Oh my god. Anyway.
Yes, that's my favorite tune. Coconut.
Shut your mouth, you demented has-been. If I had my hammer, I'd shut it for you. Jeez.
It does that. Get stuck. Yeah, you need to give it a good solid whack.
You got it.
Now that's what I'm talking about, yes!
This is it. I've died and gone to hell.
In the coconut, drink them both together. Ooh, Coffee World. Doctor, relieve this bellyache. Doctor, relieve this bellyache. Wallin Watery, try Alma beer. When did they add these? Coffee World and Alma beer show up in, and Watery, the town of Watery, all show up in Alan Wake 2. I don't know if these were in the original game. They must have added these for the remaster. Interesting. So they're also Odin and Thor, I'd imagine, given that someone mentioned Nordic mythology as a theme of the game. Yes. We've got one guy who mentioned his hammer, and the other one is wearing an eye patch. This is Odin and Thor. Yes. It's not sad if it's intentional. These are the old gods of Asgard.
Don't go in there, young man. You can hurt yourself in the dark.
I think I can handle it, ma'am.
I didn't want to wait. I wanted to find
You don't
Stucky,
wanna die,
to get the
do
key
you?
and get out as soon as possible. The waitress was giving me a headache. Overeager fans always did.
So, this is just the log lady from Twin Peaks.
She should change the bulb. This is what happens when you get sloppy.
Obviously. I'm going to keep pointing out when this game is referencing other media, because it references a bunch of Stephen King novels, it references Twin Peaks a bunch. But the reason I think that it's doing that is not necessarily because, hey, this is a fun reference to a thing I like. It's because these are elements of the cultural unconscious now. Things like characters from Twin Peaks have become archetypes. If you want to take a Jungian approach to it. If you want to approach this game from the perspective of asking, like, where do ideas and inspiration and art come from, you can say that art is derivative of things that inspire it. Hey, Dragonic, how you doing? This game is based on a bunch of other pieces of media that inspired it. But that's because that's where art comes from. When I used to, when I was writing my own tabletop game, I was part of a forum where people would share each other's like games and stuff, and writing and supplements. So a bunch of us would share around any of the writing we were doing for like tabletop stuff and critique it. And there were a bunch of people that would show up and be like, man, I played Dungeons and Dragons, but I felt like it wasn't realistic enough. So I made my own system that uses percentile dice instead, because it's way more real. And then we would be like, okay, stop what you're doing right now and go read maybe 10 other RPGs. We're like, okay, first stop, read like maybe 5 or 10 RPGs that came out in the last 5 years, please. Okay. And they would go, no, I don't want to read other people's games. I don't want to taint my ideas with other people's games. I want my own original ideas. I want my original concepts. I don't want other people's. I don't want to be borrowing or like stealing from other people's ideas. I don't want to be, I don't want them tainting my own original ideas. And it's like, that's not how you make things. That's not where art comes from.
An RPG that uses decks of cards. Super fun. And you write on them.
Because, like, the question I brought up beforehand is, like, where do ideas come from? Where does that creativity emerge from? And I'm going to be honest, I don't think it comes from inside us. I got an idea. I have a way to explain this. Remember when I mentioned syzygies? So a syzygy is a whole created from opposites, okay? So like a yin and a yang.
Which whole does art emerge from, and how far can you keep it from the taint?
Yes. I think that creativity is a syzygy created from the internal and the external. Jung would argue that identity exists as conflict, right? So that...
Where do ideas come from? I usually just pull something out of my ass.
Yeah. You've talked about this 7 times and I think we get it now. I mean, yeah, I know. I repeat myself. I'm sorry. Jung argues that identity comes from conflict of opposites. So it's not any singular thing, it is an interaction of things. So inspiration can very, I think, understandably be classified as the interaction or conflict between the real and the unreal, the unconscious and the physical, the environment and whatever is in our head. And when these things contradict each other, that is what creates inspiration or creativity. That's all I got. Go to the bathroom.
Hello? Mr. Stuckey?
Yes, I would, Sal.
Carl couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he was taken ill. But I have the key for you and instructions on how to get to the lake.
Okay.
Yo, I love how creepy that is.
Stay in my cabin. I'll come by later to check how you've settled in. And to meet your wife. I insist.
Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, lady.
Cauldron Lake is a special place. Very inspiring.
Kind of Dahlia, though.
You got lucky this time, young man. You can hurt yourself in the dark. This really ought to be fixed, and then I must remain silent.
Even that sounds better than your singing.
Are you alright?
Splendid, splendid! Damn hernia. It swells up like a balloon if I lift anything heavier than a spoon. Yeah, splendid, splendid. It's been a long time, Tom.
Who?
Good to see you.
Hey, you wouldn't happen to have a bottle on you, would you, Tom?
I wish.
I love the dichotomy between that dark, foreboding hallway with the creepy lady in it, and then coming out here to the brightly lit diner, where our comedy duo are listening to funny coconut song.
They're, local musicians. We're waiting for Dr. Hartman to come pick them up. They wandered off from his clinic at the Cauldron Lake Lodge.
Again, these, like, it could seem tonally dissonant, but I think the contrast is on purpose.
As soon as Dr. Hartman gets here, Rose. Oh, but I'm not looking forward to the poison we have at the Park Cafe.
Damn good cup of coffee in here.
Bye, Mr. Wake.
Mission accomplished. The key and the directions.
My hero. I got some flashlights, just in case.
Good move.
Wait! Mrs. Wake! Your keys!
You alright, Stucky?
That diner was a real nut house.
You're right, the lamplady is kind of a boundary between the two.
This would make a wonderful setting for a book.
We're supposed to be on vacation.
That makes a lot of sense. She's in between, she's standing in the light, but she's at the border between light and dark. Huh. It's a really good point, Entropy.
Vacation, Alice. I'll figure it out when we get back home. Okay?
Okay. We can talk about this later.
Batman here, I'm KBFF.
I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to bury my head in sand.
Here's another one of my favorites to go with it.
Once upon a time,
No,
I
not
was
first
a
week.
successful writer, but that was a long time ago. I hadn't been able to write a word in 2 years, not since my last book.
And now the weather. It's gonna be a clear night, so you folks from the big city might want to look up every once in a while. See those stars winking down at you? It gets pretty dark out here, but they'll light your way.
Oh god, I hope I don't get DMCA'd for this. She reminds me of the log lady from Twin Peaks. She is exactly like the log lady from Twin Peaks, yes.
Wow. It's gorgeous, Alan.
It's something, all right. Don't worry, honey. I'll get you inside safe and sound before it gets dark. And I've got the flashlight.
I can see the windows from here.
I'm okay.
Alice had a phobia. The fear of darkness. I wanted to make sure we were inside with the lights on before sunset.
Is this a well? Who the fuck digs a well on the coast of a lake? What? Well, why?
Well, what do we have here?
Oh yeah, for fresh water, of course. What? Maybe it's a salt lake? Then all you're gonna get under there is salt, though. You're not gonna get fresh water out of there. What? Like, it's all groundwater for, like, yards and yards and yards. I don't know. Weird. 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 So which one is Mirror Peak? I think it's that one? I think it's that one. I think that's Mirror Peak. I love the 2 windows up there. Alan Wake 2 does a thing pretty often where you will see 2 of a thing next to each other. Sometimes one is in light and one is in darkness, but there's always like this kind of duality is important to this game. It do look like a face too. Yeah. This kind of stuff is interesting because the director of Twin Peaks, Lynch, is also quite interested in things like doppelgangers. 2 things which share an appearance, you know?
Here we go. Let's take a look inside.
It is you, but not you. It looks like an owl. It does look like an owl.
It's dark in there. We need lights. Can you figure
Be
out
aware that the owls are not what they seem.
Sure thing. I'm on it.
That's a reference to Twin Peaks, actually.
A shoebox filled with books by Thomas Zane sat
on... This is the remastered version. Okay, so shoeboxes are an important thing in this game too. This is a shoebox full of books by Thomas Zane. That is important for later.
Shelf. I'd never heard of him before.
Hello? Anyone here?
The Temple of Shadow and Mist, the Labyrinth of Me, in her dreams to prevail and kept from sleep. Oh my god, Lechuza.
The power cable goes to that shed over there.
Is the generator over here?
The island had once been the site for a love story. Maybe it would be that again.
TZ and BJ. Is this where TZ got a BJ? I assume that's what happened. Okay. I'm just gonna reveal it a little bit. TZ is Thomas Zane. BJ is Barbara Jagger. Those will be important for later.
An old generator had been connected to the power cable.
I'm kind of surprised that I'm remembering all these names. So it has a yes or no on the oral. I remember how this works. Okay. Damn. This thing do be shaking, though.
Say you weren't prepared.
This thing do be shaking. Tyson, how you doing?
The lights are on! Good work, honey. I'll freshen up a bit and start settling in.
Okay. I'll look around a bit.
Sure thing. Have fun.
It was a beautiful place. I told myself I could rest here, sleep here, and forget about my work. I thought we could be happy here.
Mm-hmm.
Alice had told me about Cauldron Lake Lodge.
Freshen
the
up.
old building used
Looks
to be
like
a hotel.
Aw is going
but
to
these
get a
days,
BJ
it was
soon
no
to
longer
Lucky
open to the
Bonder.
public.
I think that lodge will be important later. So one thing I do want to say is I'm sorry if my, like, thoughts are either repetitive or unfocused. I have not had a lot of practice talking about this game critically, and I'm getting a little bit of my thoughts out of my head by doing it. Yeah. Matt'll fix
Alice?
it in post. Yeah, that's what
Honey?
I'm hoping. Matt's good at that. Also, the name Barbara Jagger is so good. It's really good. What a pointy name. What a sharp and pointy name that is. It's got barbs and jaggeds. It's great. I like it. A little bit Baba Yaga-y too. Yeah. It's good. It's cool. I love it.
Best guests have already started to arrive. Just ran into one on the ferry. Famous artist, no less. We'll see if we can rope him into an interview later.
Goodness sakes.
Now let's go to the phones. Caller, you're on KBF-FM.
Hi, Pat. It's Rose.
Why, hello, Rose. What's on your mind?
I know who that famous artist was. It was Alan Wake, wasn't it? He's
Uh.
my favorite writer. I just saw him at the diner. Oh, I am so excited he's here.
I'm sure he's glad to be here, too. Well, folks,
That was a really good.
KBF-FM. Now...
Great. So much for keeping a low profile.
That was really good. Turns out her name is pronounced more like Baba Yaga.
The old door had played a trick on me. Alice wouldn't have come out in the dark.
I wonder how you would pronounce Barbara Jagger with a more Finnish accent. Not for any particular reason, I'm just saying.
Alan, I'm upstairs. I have a surprise for you.
How did I never make that connection? That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this game. That's why I'm playing this. I'm like, I want to talk about this. I want to throw out ideas together. I want to discover things about this game with y'all.
Well, hello there.
I'm not the surprise. It's in the study. Go take a look.
Okay.
You lie. 1970. Dang.
Surprise!
Alice? What is this?
I guess I have a small
A
confession.
typewriter, idiot.
I thought maybe you could write here that a change of scenery would get you past.
Damn it, Alice. Everyone keeps...
Hey, just hear me out. There's a local doctor, Dr. Hartman. I read a book of his. He has a private clinic here. He specializes in helping artists.
So now you want to get me committed?
No, it's not like that. That's not... Alan? Alan?
Just don't. I don't want to hear it. God damn
That was really good.
God damn it.
I knew she wouldn't follow me in the dark.
That was really
I needed
good.
some time alone to think things through.
Maybe Alan's like a zoomer and he's just like, Alice, what the fuck is this? It looks like a computer, but it doesn't have like a tower or a monitor. What the fuck is this?
Damn it. Alice?
Alice? Alice!
What is this? Can't even run,
It had
Doom.
gone dark. All the lights were out.
Alice, I'm coming. It's all right. I'm coming.
Evil burbs. I hate these things.
Alan, my guy. She's trying to be nice. To, I don't know, help you out of this dark place you seem to be trapped in.
You know? Right? I think Alice is being quite considerate here. Like, I understand that Alan feels pressured to be writing. Like, he feels pressured to make work and he's suffering burnout. Alice, I feel like, is giving him the option to create when he wants to, but I don't feel like she's pushing him into it the way that he feels pushed into it by himself or by the people around him, right? We're gonna have to talk later about the way that capitalism treats art and the creation of it, but there's a better place to talk about that later. For now, Alice is a stand-in.
We've always been in the dark place.
Mm-hmm. Alice is a stand-in for Alan's muse, basically. She's the thing that inspires him to write, and has been for years and years and years.
If it flies in a video game, 9 times out of 10, it's a jackass.
Big true. Big true.
What would he be called if it was a fantasy series instead of detective books? Alan Drake.
Phoebe, they can't do Max Payne 4 because Rockstar owns Max Payne, the IP. I'm sorry. Remedy's not gonna do that, I don't think. Especially since Max Payne 3 was made completely without them. So, yeah, that... There is a part... I want to point out, there is a part in Alan Wake 2 when Sam Lake, playing the actor who plays Alex Casey in the movie adaptations of Alan Wake's books, is sitting next to Alan Wake, who is... is sitting next to Alan Wake, and Alan Wake is talking about the movie adaptations of his Alex Casey books. And what he says about them is, oh, I don't dislike them. I just wish that I had more input in their creation. I just wish that I, had a little more, like, creative input on them. But I realize that they're their own thing. And I'm like, damn, dude. Max Payne 3 really hit you hard, didn't it? I can understand why. God. I think Alice is definitely trying to do the right thing, but her immediately bringing up locally based creativity wellness clinic run by a guy with a self-help book might make Alan feel like this vacation is actually
Alice,
just a trap.
If you'd brought my computer, I could have just fed it some of my old books and had the algorithm make a new one.
Oh, God.
Lucky bunder plucky bun yuck, lucky bunder plucky bun yuck.
Ugh. There is also the Max Payne movie, which I don't know if Sam Lake had any input on. But yeah, no, I totally agree with that party. And it turns out it's a bad move, but like also, you know, men will do anything to avoid going to therapy.
Alice? Alice?
Men will sink themselves into a lake to be with an eldritch abomination to avoid going to therapy.
Oh no!
Men will journey into a dark allegory about the process of creativity in order to avoid going to therapy. Wake up.
Exactly. Yes.
Alice?
Waking up in the crashed car felt like I had woken from one nightmare and entered another.
That's important.
I couldn't remember how I got there. All I knew was that something terrible had happened to Alice.
And then men will self-medicate on
phone
fanfics
was
for
dead.
20 years to
I'd
attempt
have to find help
do-it-yourself
on foot.
therapy.
So, I have to spoil one thing here. I'm going to jump a little bit ahead in the story because there is going to be a thing we need to talk about in order to discuss the rest of this game, which is that scene right there is the last we see of Alan Wake until the end of this game. The character that we are playing right now is no longer Alan Wake. I think most of the people that played this game already know this. I don't think this is an incredible surprise. But the character that we're playing now...
He had a car crash after diving in water. Wonder why Bun likes this game?
Yeah.
Lucky Bun lore.
It's a little Silent Hilly, isn't it?
Plot twist. The journey into the dark allegory for creativity and burnout and depression was therapy all along.
So there's Alan Wake, Alex Casey, and Alex Casey. Yes, and Sam Lake. It's as understandable as Kingdom Hearts. Seemed pretty obvious from the 3 hours of the game I saw Punk Bunny play. Yeah, so this character that we're playing right now is named Alan Wake. However, he is a character who is being written by Alan Wake. Alan Wake for the rest of the game is going to be underneath the lake that we saw him jump into during that cutscene. The character that we are playing right now is his self-insert in a novel he is writing. Which is being brought to life. This is his persona, yes. Yeah, so Alan Wake is Alan Wake in Alan Wake. Makes the game make a lot more sense now, legit. Yeah. And
Oh great.
Like,
so this is Alan Wake's self-insert fanfiction.
Exactly, yes. Alan Wake, the self-insert of Sam Lake, has jumped into a lake and become the self-insert of Alan Wake. Yes, precisely. So, for the rest of this game, Alan Wake is trapped in a dark place, suffocating underwater, struggling to create art, and while a creation of his is running around wearing his face. Incidentally, Sam Lake was the writer of Max Payne, a character that used his face as a face model. I feel like this game has a lot to say about where Sam Lake was in the process of writing this game, if that makes sense. That Alan Wake 2 is on sale and I need to get it. It's
Alan Fake.
Exactly. I highly recommend Alan Wake 2. I think it's fantastic. And it's much more blatant about these things.
Derrida has once again entered the chat.
But yeah, so I hate to spoil that twist right now, but I also think it's important to talk about in the context of the wider game, because the stuff we discuss during this...
So, the town is punishing him for his sins and for being circumcised?
Sure, okay, yeah.
Men will write multiple video games instead of going to therapy.
Kinda, yeah. The twist is a little bit subtle, but it's not until like the way end of the game.
Dr. Darling and Alan Wake have the same face and voice actor.
Yes.
When did Alan Wake write multiple self-inserts of himself into existence?
So when I talked to Chai's opinion was that Alan Wake may have written the Bureau of Control into existence.
Now, so you don't have to keep hit in all the time and combust, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely yes.
Just for the record, Alan Wake cannot create things out of whole cloth. He did not create the FBC or Jesse or the Hiss.
I agree.
Compared to this writing, I feel like what I do can't compare.
I wouldn't feel that way, because pretty soon we're going to see some of Alan Wake's writing. And turns out, Alan Wake's a pretty terrible writer. I think this game is so smart, but part of what is smart about it is that it understands that Alan Wake is kind of a hack.
Among Alice's things was a book, The Creator's
I was
Dilemma,
meaning the game.
by a Dr. Emil Hartman. Seeing the book
Hartman?
brought back my fight with Alice. I didn't like
Love
it.
that.
And I didn't like the guy's smug face on the cover either.
We have been getting a little bit of Alan's like internal monologue, and it's really hackneyed, isn't it? Like, it's really hokey. All his stupid, like...
The gas station was my best bet. They'd have a phone I could use. It looked like a long hike through the forest to get there.
Oh boy. Die Hartman. I told you. I feel like Sam Lake is a Finnish Hideo Kojima.
Multiple video games and put a musical epic at an awards show to avoid going to therapy. There's also the theory that Alan Wake was created by Thomas Zane, which from W2 and G+ might have been created by Dr. Darling.
Okay, we're going to talk about this way, way, way later, but Alan Wake and Thomas Zane have a weird interaction where they both wrote each other into existence. And that is a contradiction without a resolution. Don't worry about it yet. I'll talk about it later. Because we haven't even introduced Zane yet. But yeah, both of them wound up writing each other into existence in a weird way. They share an archetype, so of course they cross over. I'm not sure about that. Let me see. Okay, so when Jung wrote about archetypes, he said that there is an infinite number of them. There can be as many as you want, right?
Streams fun and interesting, so thank you for the effort you put in.
Oh, Fred, thank you. Oh my gosh. They're a little bit stressful, and I always feel like I have a homework assignment due whenever I do one of these, because I'm just like, oh, I need to make sure that I cover this and this and this and this. And it needs to be understandable, and it needs to be whatever, you know? So thank you. I do put a lot of work into it. Thank you for the 19 months. So yeah, Jungian archetypes, there can be an infinite number of them. He's just like, okay, here's the ones that I think exist, but they will change over time because they're all part of a collective unconscious, which is entirely based in like culture. So there are going to be more or less of them at any given point in time, and there can be an infinite number of them, and there's not like a set list of them. There are some that Jung specified, and there are some, like, you know, the Myers-Briggs test, that silly thing where it's basically just like horoscopes. Those are archetypes. That's kind of what we're talking about here. These are basically horoscopes. These are just types of thing. Jung identified at least 12 different archetypes, and I think the one that is represented by Thomas Zane is the creator, which is like an artist, a creative force, not necessarily the doer, but the thinker. The person that brings imagination into reality is more like the magician, but I think Zane represents the creator. At least that's my current opinion. I think there's characters in this game that represent different archetypes. Like, for instance, Barry, who represents the archetype the Jester. God, I love Barry.
Hello?
Dang, that's bright.
Hello? Someone there?
Is Barry real? Yeah, definitely.
There's the creator, the architect, the wizard, the sorcerer, the bitchin' spellslinger.
The loose sheets of paper were pages from a manuscript entitled Departure. That was the name I planned to use for the next novel I had never gotten started. I was named the author. I hadn't written it. I couldn't remember writing it. In the scene on the page, the hero was attacked by an axe murderer in the woods at night.
Mm-hmm. Barry's so good somehow. Barry seems like he's the worst and turns out to be the best, and I love him. Gosh. Okay, so obviously what's happening here is that Alan Wake, the person, is writing these pages that are being found by Alan Wake, the character, who is the one described in the pages. Which is why the story winds up being a thriller where Alan Wake is finding pages of a book he doesn't remember writing that describe events that haven't happened yet. Which is, I think, a really cool conceit. I don't know.
Anybody there? Please, I've been in an accident.
Russian nesting doll fuckery. A little bit, yeah. I guess what I'm saying is, this Alan Wake here is like Alan Wake's nobody. Because after he dives into the lake, that's when he loses his heart and he's overcome by the darkness, right? And so his body becomes this Alan Wake, because that's his nobody, right? But when he's in the bottom of the lake, his Heartless comes out, made from the darkness, and that's Mr. Scratch. So Mr. Scratch is the Heartless, and then this... Okay, but tell me I'm wrong, though.
I hate that you're not wrong. Up the shut.
The lights up ahead were a good sign. Maybe I wouldn't have to hike
Would this
all the
be
way down to the
considered
gas
Alan
station to
Wake's
find a
shadow?
phone.
His true self?
No, I think this is more like his persona. It's a creation that he
So Thomas
is using to
Kingdom
present to the
Hearts?
world, right? The shadow is unconscious. It's his self that he doesn't know necessarily, or doesn't want to admit to. This is probably closer to a persona.
So, they put bugs in Alan Wake?
The original game had a couple, yeah.
Anybody there? Please, I've been in an accident. Hey! Hey, you! Phil! There's been an accident. I need
So
help.
what is his persona then?
I need to...
Premium cabins for rent in Nightfall.
Oh, hell.
Carl Stuckey. Pleased to meet you. Non-refundable reservation deposit required. Fair and square.
That looks like some kind of axe murderer. In the woods.
Boy, does it.
Fair and square.
Carl Stuckey. Pleased to meet you.
Oh no, it's a landlord. Do you think some of this is Alan writing himself as the hero he thinks he is? So, Alan in the bottom of the lake is trying to write a character that's going to defeat the darkness. So he winds up writing this self-insert to do that. So in some respects, it is definitely like a different version of himself. He's definitely leaving elements of himself out. But he doesn't, exactly come across as heroic a lot of the time. One thing that is really interesting is that these other characters, these Taken is what they're called, wind up talking in these really two-dimensional platitudes. Carl Stuckey owns the cabins, therefore all of his lines of dialogue are about him owning a cabin. That's his character trait. He's an NPC. He's, an incidental character that shows up the one time. Don't worry about it. In Sophie's video about this, she posits that Alan sees other people this way. Like Alan as a member of the bourgeois who sees himself as this great artist, also sees other people as sort of being beneath him and two-dimensional. Like he's a main character and he sees other people as NPCs. And I think that's a valid way to look at that. Yes. But there are other ways that you can interpret this. So one of which is that if you want to dig a little bit more into the Jungian thing, these characters represent archetypes. Stuckey isn't a person. He's the archetype of the guy that owns the cabins, right? So all of his writing is very functional in terms of he's the guy who owns the cabin. That's one thing you could do. Or you could look at it from a narrative perspective, Alan is writing very quickly. And this is a first draft. And so a lot of his characters are going to be incredibly one-dimensional because he doesn't have time to flesh them out. They're just there, right?
He's just another brick in the wall.
Yeah. But here's one that I really like, which is that I think some of these characters are less influenced by Alan's writing and more influenced by the dark presence, which is the thing that's bringing his writing to life. Because the dark presence doesn't see people as people. It sees them as a means to an end. They are tools to be used. When it pulls an artist into the lake, it wants them to create things, but it doesn't really care about the creation itself. It doesn't care about them as people. It just wants them to make. It's just using them to make art. And I think it treats other people the same way. They're not being used as a person. They are a tool for a task. They are only given value by their job, which is why the dark presence represents capitalism. I think I want to make that argument. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I want to make that argument. I'm going to talk about it more later. But yes. All of Stucky's lines are presumably written words on his website or brochure. Yes. Okay. That is a really, really, really good point. All of the lines that these other characters have.
It's a metaphor for capitalism.
It's capitalism? No! Why didn't you mention the stream? I'm sorry, Chai! I didn't want to. You were streaming. You were doing a thing. Oh my goodness. I don't know if this is anything, but there is something horrifying about Alan making these flat people in the first place. Alan created a being that exists to be the guy that owns the cabins and literally nothing else. That would be a horrifying existence. So I don't think that the way it works is that he's creating things whole cloth out of nothing, right? I think that his writing influences reality, but it's not creating people out of thin air, right? Piccolo, thank you for the follow me, Furry and Whiskers. Hi, Chai, I'm going to talk about your favorite thing for hours tonight. I'm sorry. I almost wasn't going to do it because I wanted to watch you stream instead. Gosh. Okay, so all the dialogue that these people have and the way that they're taken also could be because the dark presence influences things only through art. And that's why Stucky can only talk in pieces of advertisements for his cabins, presumably things that were written down or used on his website or radio ads or things like that, right? It's why a lot of the characters that we see who are taken will spout little advertising phrases, because that's art too. Those are things that have been on television or the radio or whatever. They're little bits and pieces of media that the dark presence can use to turn them into taken, right? Things like that. Yeah, like Nightingale referencing other writers and from the manuscript and things like that, right? Yeah, brand jingle is art. Because I just don't think the dark presence has any kind of creativity. It can't make things itself. It has to borrow them.
In Bright Falls,
I do have to mention, we give up really quickly on actually saving people and would rather just shoot them in the face.
It's the latest thing! Two birds? Incontestably proven!
Benefits.
Oh, the dark presence is the torment nexus they created with generative AI.
The door with his
A little
axe
bit,
like
yeah.
Nicholson in The Shining.
See, I don't have to do it when they say it. See, Alan just says it, so I don't have to. I clapped when I saw the thing I recognized. I love that Alan Wake exists in the same universe as Stephen King. He's referenced Stephen King twice now, which means that Stephen King is also a writer in this universe. How is Alan this famous? So we've got these Bright Volts batteries. In the original, these were, I believe, Energizer batteries. I believe they were branded Energizer batteries. Alan, as a kid, using the clicker when he was scared of the dark, made the dark entity real, and he believed it was a monster. The OOP made it real, but I could be wrong. That's a possibility. Or Alan wrote the clicker into existence and never actually had it as a kid until he wrote that was part of the story. These are contradictions without a resolution. It's probably both.
During your trying Nordic walking.
Well, I want to go Nordic walking. I'll bet you the Koskela brothers do Nordic walking. I'll bet they can.
Testably proven health benefits let you shoot. One.
Hey, Wallen Watery, try Alma beer.
You can see the sights and keep those cholesterol levels down.
Yes.
Bright Falls Sheriff Station. How may I...
Hello?
Oh.
Hello?
Dang it. Keep it. Oh. Whee! That's a really fun little set piece. I really like that one. That's fun. So, again, in Sophie's video, she talks about the Taken being able to literally become machines of industry, the means of production, attacking Alan for being a member of the bourgeois. And again, I think that's a valid interpretation if you want to bring that to it. However, I think I lean more on the side of the Dark Presence treating people as machines of industry. Like, there's no difference to them between Stucky and that tractor. They're both tools to create thing for profit.
There were more of them.
But that's just a theory. Okay, theory.
My head pounded with a concussion. I'd never fired a gun outside a shooting range, and now I just killed someone. Or something.
Did you?
There were no bodies. They just disappeared. If I was dreaming, it felt real enough to make me sick.
Here's one thing that really concerns me. There's a character in Alan Wake 2 who knows about the Taken and goes, "Of course I know how to kill Taken. The really difficult part is hiding the bodies afterwards." That worries me. That worries me. because now I don't know. I don't know. Are you sure? Cause all the Taken I've fought didn't really have a body afterwards. So that's worrying. It's funny, and I think it's supposed to be like that.
Eerie hand-painted graffiti was revealed by my flashlight. Someone had hidden a chest of supplies near it.
Did Alan not want to let Alan live with the guilt and just write that they vanish? That's certainly possible. I think there's a couple of things you can kind of conceptualize about these things, right? So, okay. One, these could be real people from the town who are overcome by the darkness and attack you on sight. They can no longer be saved. They've become shadowed by the darkness, and now they're taken, and you have to kill them, right? Zombie rules. Or they could be... I sort of err on the side of these not actually being real people, but closer to what happens if you try to write something from whole cloth. So like we said, Alan can't just write someone into existence if they never existed before, but he can change things about them. However, I think the Taken are pretty close to writing things out of nothing, and that's why they're so two-dimensional. It's why they don't have a lot of person in them. They're just advertising slogans and darkness, basically. Oh, geez. Tyrion!
I know, and I know this will sound dumb. They're nobodies, like the darkness in people's hearts.
Kind of, yeah.
Maybe they just disappear, because the bodies of mooks in stories aren't really relevant to the story once they're defeated. The characters just move on past them like they never existed.
True. Give it a kick. There we go.
The Dark Forest was the last place I wanted to go, but I had no choice. I had to get to the gas station.
Alan Wake 2 does seem to imply the workers of the coffee world were all taken. There are characters in Alan Wake 2 who were people who became Taken, but I don't know if that's all of the Taken. It's a little vague. I'm willing to be swayed either way. Because there are characters like Stucky who definitely seem to be real people who became Taken. Oh, jeez. Oh man, it's so nice playing this on easy. Oh my god. Would recommend, if you play this for yourself, put this on the easiest difficulty. Holy shit. It actually feels so much better. Maybe it can be both? Maybe it is both. Maybe it is both. Would y'all like... Oh boy. Would y'all like some pages from this manuscript that Alan's writing?
Departure by Alan Wake. The man turned to face me. His face was covered in shadows. It was hard to make him out in the darkness of the forest that surrounded us, but the axe he lifted was plain to see. It glistened with the blood of his victim. He grinned madly. The shadows were alive, distorting his features. It was a scene from a nightmare, but I was awake.
I was Wake. I was Alan Wake. Being the best writer of a century. And yeah. Every creative character we've seen has been the persona of someone else, not an original character.
God damn it, Alan.
So if the darkness wants to make a goon, it might have to manifest someone's persona rather than just create a character out of text people have written. Yes. Yes? I think yes. 'Cause like, there's a failing of art is the inability to perfectly represent an idea in a physical form or even like an audiovisual form. There's no way that you will know everything about a person, right? So the version of the person that we see is generally the persona, although that's an internal thing. It's the person that you present to the outside world rather than the one that the world sees. So these characters being a little more one-dimensional and stereotypical could just be because anybody writing is writing from their own perspective, and that is inherently limited.
The Taken stood before me. It was impossible to focus on it.
So I think I
as
agree.
if it stood in a blind spot caused by a brain tumor and eye disease. It was gleaming shadows
What?
like ink underwater.
What is that metaphor?
A cloud of blood from a shark bite.
It was so tortured.
I squeezed the flashlight like my life depended on it, willing it to stop coming any closer. Suddenly something gave, and the light seemed to shine brighter.
Why is that metaphor? As if it stood in a blind spot caused by a brain tumor or an eye disease. Like a cloud of blood from a shark bite. I love these tortured metaphors. It's so good. They're very fun. It's like reading Eye of Argon.
He was tall as a 6'4" tree.
Yes, exactly.
Alan Wake's their books, the Cauldron Lake trilogy if you will, are called
What the hell was
Departure,
that?
Initiation, and Return, which are the 3 stages of the hero's journey.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I don't know if I put that together before, but that
When I saw
makes a
the
lot of
river
sense. I get
below,
that.
Something uncoiled itself inside my head. I realized that I'd have to find a way across. I didn't even want to look at the water.
These metaphors are more tortured than a hard-boiled noir detective.
Boy, are they. I forget what to do here. All right, here we go. No problem. All right. It would make a lot of sense, yeah. One thing I do like about... Interesting.
Stucky was still out there, in the dark, stalking me.
Alan Wake 1 has a little bit of this, but Alan Wake 2 goes a lot harder with it. Where, if you look at the Taken and, like, the shadows around them, there's kind of a wavy effect to them. Alan Wake 2 does this a lot more, where there's like this sort of blurring kind of wavy effect to them, like you're looking at something underwater. Like as if they're being written from a place under the lake. I think it's neat. You know, the first time I played this game, I think this is as far as I got. Wish they did more with it. They do a little bit more with it in Alan Wake 2, but not that much more. Sadly. I do wish they did a little bit more with it. This first game really feels like a proof of concept in some ways. The Taken are filled with darkness. Oh my god, the Taken. They put darkness in them. What? It's like a niche concept, but I love how meta this is. There's a scene in Alan Wake 2 when a bunch of characters are complimenting Alan on his great book that he just released. They're like, oh my god, Alan, we love your book so much. I love how meta it was. I love how it was a commentary on the darkness of the writer himself, the dark place that the writer was stuck in. Wow. I found that so meta. That was really cool. It's like Alan Wake 2 is snubbing its nose at the commentary of Alan Wake 1. I love it. The Darkness 1 is getting a release on PC? You're kidding.
Game is a slog to get through because it's like you're playing it underwater. Lucky bun pun, lucky bun pun, lucky bun pun.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. In Alan Wake 3, Alan should meet a live-action Sam Lake. No, he does in 2! No, in 2, Alan Wake meets a live-action Sam Lake. No, they already did that, Black Sheep. I swear to God. These games are wild.
The staircase was broken.
How fucking Kojima is that?
Some other way.
How Kojima is that? Kojima has met Solid Snake, it's true.
There had to be a way to get up there.
Well, no. That's not Solid Snake. Wait a minute, Kojima has not met Solid Snake. No. Kojima has met Big Boss. And I think Venom? Maybe Venom? I don't remember. I think there's a mission in 5 with Kojima. But no, that is not Solid Snake.
There was no power. There was bound to be a generator somewhere at the logging site.
Dude. This is cute. I like you guys. I love talking about these ideas with y'all. Y'all are so clever. In Alan Wake 3, Alan should kill live-action Sam Lake. Black Sheep, I hate to tell you this. Black Sheep, you should probably just play Alan Wake 2. Because it's funny when Alan Wake kills Sam Lake in the game. But it's even weirder when Alan Wake kills Alan Wake's voice actor. It's really weird. It's pretty weird. That game goes places. I like it. Wow, it's so meta. Manuscript. Ooh. Love a shotgun. Only 2 bullet though? We need a Lake Kojima production? I don't even know. I don't even know what that would be like. Hey Wobbly, how you doing? I think it might be important to read that page you just picked up.
Rose knew she had been gushing, but right now she didn't care. As far as she was concerned, her
lady's
meeting with Alan
gushing.
was literally the high point of her life. She watched as he got in the car with his wife. She was pretty, confident, at ease with Wake. Not like Rose.
I'm getting the
They were
impression that
perfect for each
Sam
other.
Lake just
She
got
had
real
given
drunk
anything
and
to be
kept
called
coming
her
back
friend.
into the Alan Wake 2
Aw.
writer's room going, I've got a wild idea.
Kind of, yeah, Sal. Like, there's part of Alan Wake 2 that's a 20-minute long experimental Finnish art film that stars a bunch of the actors and voice actors in the game. It rules. It's great. But like there are some wild ideas in that one.
Barry Wheeler was bouncing off the walls. He jumped on a plane after his calls were ignored by both Al and Alice for several days. It could mean that they were both on a second honeymoon, but Barry didn't buy it. Al had been way too unstable for that, not sleeping, messed up. Barry had years of experience dealing with Alan Wake, and he couldn't ignore it. Something was wrong.
Finish. Janitor returns? Possibly. If I want to convince you of anything during this playthrough, it's, hey, maybe give Alan Wake 2 a try. You might like it. It's got a little bit better combat than this one, and it's just a really fun story. I think I recommend it. And if you do that, I'm gonna go ahead and stream Alan Wake 2 after this one, and I don't know, maybe a little bit of Control or something. But like we can talk about it. We can talk about it then, because I don't want to spoil too much. There's a lot of surprises in it, so I don't want to go too far into talking about Alan Wake 2. What about American Nightmare? American Nightmare is a pretty good hour and a half. Right? It's all right. I like how Alan Wake took 5 years to write, and American Nightmare took 3 months to come out.
I imagine a Sam Lake / Hideo Kojima joint would have a lot of conversations between Sam Lake and Hideo Kojima, but Kojima is voiced by Matthew Porretta, and Sam Lake is voiced by David Hayter. Please consider the list of batshit things that happen in Alan Wake 2 that Bun does not consider to be much of a spoiler.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on.
It has slightly better combat, but
Dang it.
more importantly it has a lot less combat.
Yes, a lot less.
The game is much better for it.
Yes. I wish I could play games other than the one I'm currently addicted to. That's understandable. I get that. But as long as you have fun with it, then that's not a problem. What's the reasoning behind the rock opera in Alan Wake 2? So I'll talk about it, during...
Did I miss meeting Mr. Door?
No, he's not in this game. I'm sorry. I will talk about the rock opera when we get to the rock opera in Alan Wake 1. Okay? There is a rock concert in this game, so I'll talk about it there.
Well, I was just outside for a breath of fresh air, and what a night.
You could tell it was written in at most 3 months.
Yeah.
The story is the worst part in American Nightmare.
Yeah, like, I get it. It's kind of filler. I have not actually played any of the DLC for Alan Wake 1. Which I probably should. Some of it's important, I think.
I know most of you are probably in your beds by now, but if you're still up and around, take a moment. Step outside for a spell and breathe in deep. The weather is absolutely still. The sky is crystal clear. It's like the forest is quietly breathing along with you. As you listeners know, I'm a night owl, and it's on nights like this I wish I wasn't cooped up in the studio.
Aww.
Makes an old man like me wish I could just roam wild. But here I am, and who'd keep you company all night long if I weren't? It looks like I'm not the only one staying up late. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Pat, it's Maurice Horton.
Hello, Maurice.
Hey, Maurice.
Well, I was just taking Toby on his walkies.
That's Sonic's middle name.
Out there.
Sure, but Pat, the reason I called is that Toby heard something rustling in the undergrowth and took off after it, and I couldn't find it.
Probably a rabbit.
Sure. Toby loves rabbits.
Well, sure.
Anyway,
Who doesn't?
if anyone runs into Toby, they could grab him. My number's on.
Everybody loves rabbits.
Toby's a friendly dog.
Toby loves people. Usually he comes back, but we were pretty far from home, and it sounds like he went pretty wild there.
Wait, Sonic Maurice what? His name is Ogilvy Maurice Hedgehog.
Well, Maurice, it's out there now. Hope Toby comes home soon.
Yeah, thanks, Pat.
You have a good night now.
Yeah, I like Pat Maine. He seems cool. Yeah, Sonic's full name is Ogilvy Maurice Hedgehog, also known as Sonic. Don't worry about it. What? That's canon? Kind of. Depends on what canon you're talking about. That's canon in the Archie comics. Is it canon to anything else? No. Probably not, no. Is it Sonic Bible canon? No, in the Sonic Bible he's called Sonny? Sonny Hedgehog? He changes his name to Sonic after running faster than the speed of light on a treadmill, which turns him blue.
It's light welcome.
That's impossible.
I hate how Bun can just say whatever weird shit and say it's Sonic lore and I just have to accept it because yeah, that sounds right.
He sounds so confident saying it. How could it possibly be wrong? That's not how blue shifting works. It's not. It's not. Paul do be making the best hot dogs in the state. They do be making some good dogs. Oh. Oops. I forgot. I had the flare gun equipped. Oops. There we go. Yeah, I guess fuck that guy in particular. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm enjoying this gameplay more than I remember. Ow? Okay. Like, I remember having a rough time with this gameplay and not really loving it. But maybe it's just because I'm playing on, like, a much lower difficulty. But it feels pretty good to be shooting these guys. This feels pretty alright. Oh, also the flashlight battery recharges over time. Oh, that's great. That's so handy. Oh my gosh. I'm enjoying this. Takes an axe to the head. This is cute. Oh, well, this game replicated the vibe of the forest outside my house. The forest areas in this game are really well done. Even better in 2. Oh my gosh. Did this game deserve as much awards as it got over BG3? So I haven't played BG3, so I couldn't commentate on that. But Alan Wake 2 is probably one of the best games I've played in my life. And I'm going to be talking and thinking about it forever. It's up there with Metal Gear Solid 2 for me now. This game, less so. But still pretty good. Dang, I'm just swimming in ammo now. Might as well use some of those flares. Think a laptop could run BG3? The Bee Gees had 2 sequels. You know, I've said it a bunch, but every time I see BG3, my brain just goes, oh yeah, Beyond Good and Threevil. Of course. And then I have to go, no, brain, stop. Baldur's Gate. Never heard of a game called Cameo Elements of Power? I have indeed. There we go. Still waiting for Beyond Good and Evil 2. Don't. Do not. Please do not try to be excited for Beyond Good and Evil 2. It is either not coming out or terrible. Or both. Please do not be excited for Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Science.
Did y'all enjoy the Twilight Zone?
On those who advance it to elevate all of mankind. Newton, Einstein, Sagan, princes among men. But the price for such
Big Gamer,
legacy
thank you so much for the follow.
indeed in Night Springs.
So, this is the Twilight Zone ripoff. Why are you so awesome? Why are you so awesome? No, you're breathtaking.
I'm more of a night gallery kind of folk.
That makes sense. One of the things I like here, you know how we talked about syzygies? How we talked about like diametrically opposed concepts? Bright Falls, Night Springs, falls where the water falls down, springs where the water bubbles up, light, bright. I don't know. It's the thing.
Tonight's episode, a quantum suicide. If our lives are already written, it would
This is
take
cute.
a courageous man to change the script. Having called a press conference, Dr. Barclay Colvin is about to demonstrate that very courage.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I am Dr. Barclay Colvin, and I'm glad so many of you could join me here at the Moorcock Institute. Tonight, I'm going to give
Like to give me some more cock.
of the many worlds interpretation. As you can see, this is a loaded 9mm pistol. It shall be
That
part
was
of a
also the
vault
reason
experiment.
fall was the English name of the season, because it's the opposite of spring. Autumn is French.
That's cute.
And now, a real experiment, known as a quantum suicide.
Did he say suicide? Is that a real gun? He's kidding, right?
Please, stay calm. There is no risk. Observe what occurs when I place the weapon against my own forehead. Now, you might think this round is merely a dud. Not so. Observe the flower pot. And yet, I myself cannot be harmed with this gun. With each pull of the trigger, 2 new realities branch off. One in which the weapon didn't fire, and one where it did. With my machine here, I have ensured that this reality is always the former.
That doesn't make any sense.
Bestowed upon myself quantum immortality.
But wait a minute, but there is a reality where it didn't, where that didn't happen though.
Under no circumstances can this gun kill me.
So wait. What you're saying is that every time you pull the trigger, in another reality, you die?
Yes, of course, but that's completely trivial. There's an infinite number of things that could happen at any moment, and they always do happen somewhere. The point is, this one thing did not happen here.
You're insane, Colvin.
Insane? Insane?
Hey, was this thing supposed to be plugged in? I stumbled on it.
You fools! Gaze upon quantum immortality.
Poor Dr. Colvin, felled by his own hubris or the ignorance of the masses. Perhaps he should have left the crate unopened, the decaying atom unobserved. Curiosity often kills the cat in Night Springs.
Okay. 2 things I want to bring up here.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
It actually does a little bit. Night Springs, not Bright Springs. No. Night Springs is the name of the show. Bright Falls is the name of the town. So behind the scary door.
Okay, Therese, no way Alan could have written that. That outro was actually really clever.
Okay, so Alan Wake was actually a writer for Night Springs. So even in canon, Alan Wake did write episodes of Night Springs. I'm not sure about that one, but there are episodes that Alan Wake did write. So 1, 2, couple of things about that particular thing there. When it says his own hubris or the ignorance of the masses, doesn't that really like shed a lot of light on what Alan thinks is going on here? Because just like the Doctor in this show, Alan is making his own reality, right? Because if there's a number of infinite universes where something always happens, Alan's writing is influencing this current world that we're conscious of. which is this, like, it's very similar. He's, like, influencing the reality that we all have to exist in, the same way that that doctor was. But, like, the way that he views other people, the way that other characters show up in this game, implies that he believes a lot in the ignorance of the masses as a thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, these people may consume my writing, but they don't understand it, sort of a thing, you know? I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of that going on. Yeah. Did you notice the poster for Tom the Poet? I did, yes. Which I'm pretty sure was added for the remake. And it's just really, really weird. This game is one of the few that I can think of that has a canonical retcon. In Alan Wake 1, Thomas Zane is a poet. There's like books of poetry written by Thomas Zane in here. But in Alan Wake 2, and in the DLC for Control, they're like, oh, no, he wasn't a poet. He was a film director. And then some characters are like, wait, wasn't he a poet? And they're like, no, you're just getting confused because one of his films was called Tom the Poet, where he played a poet in the film. No, you're just confused. Don't worry about it. That's really weird, right? They're like, no, the Mandela effect is real. It's happening to characters in the game. They're fucking gaslighting us. Basically, he writes stuff and it becomes reality. That's kind of the conceit of the game, yeah. The old guys refer to Alan as Tom. Yes. Yes, they do. It's fucking scary. Get a helmet. Yeah, and maybe like a reflective vest or something. This place doesn't seem particularly OSHA compliant. Oh no. The remaster got a retcon. Hang on a sec. You're telling us that the remaster got retcon plot for that poster? The universe was retconned. Somebody wrote that Zane is actually a filmmaker, and the universe changed to accommodate. Posters in the non-remastered version? You're kidding. Huh. Oh, I see you. Okay. There we are.
Stucky's body vanished, leaving behind only a lifetime of nightmares to come. Assuming I'd reach the lights at the gas station alive.
Gonna have to go look at an offline console version. I do own this game on Xbox 360. I could find out. Gra! Hello? How you doing, Gra? It's so good to see you. Oh my goodness. How you doing, Raiders? Gra, I am playing this Alan Wake game. I don't know if you heard of it. It's pretty good.
I recognized the parade float I had seen in Bright Falls when I first arrived with Alice.
Because I wanted to provide this a little bit of critical analysis. I wanted to bring a little bit of close reading techniques to talking about why this game is a little bit smarter than it appears on the surface, I
I
think.
just experienced in the darkness, the lights of the gas station felt comforting, at least for a moment. The same world reasserted itself.
Critical analysis.
Analysis. You were so sweet. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Is this the original or the sequel? It is the remaster of Alan Wake 1.
The garage was a mess. It looked like someone had trashed the place, or that there'd been some kind of fight.
That Sam Lake's an interesting feller.
I'll write. I'll keep writing. Outside, there's only darkness. Outside the cabin, outside the story, there's only darkness. I can feel her presence in the dark. Just now, I could smell her perfume in the room. I'll reach her. I'll fix it up. I'll bring her back. The story will come true. If I stop, she's lost.
I don't believe this. It'd been me on the TV, talking crazy. Was I losing my mind?
Yes, here we go. We got them big stuffers. Yo, I want some big stuffer? For real? That was the actual Alan Wake on the TV, yeah. Yo, garlic and vinegar, pretty good. Cheese and cream, a little weird, but alright. I'm assuming like cheddar and sour cream, maybe? But big stuffer, though. Let's go. Raffle tickets. Bucktooth Charlie afternoons, and Montgomery, the Mystic's Amazing Phantasmagoria evenings. Live music. Let's go. Ah. My God. Those are spicy barbecue. Dang.
I love the Big Stuffer slogan. Get ready to get stuffed.
I think we all know that one.
Bright Falls Sheriff Station.
This is Sheriff
Oh, thank God.
Breaker?
Sheriff Sarah Breaker. You
Yes.
are...
I'm Alan Wake, but listen. I was in a car crash. My wife, Alice, she's missing.
Calm down, Mr. Wake.
We were staying in a cabin on the island, on Cauldron Lake.
There's no island on Cauldron Lake. Not since the big eruption in the 70s.
Please, I can take you there, okay?
You look like you've taken a pretty bad knock to the head. Are you okay?
Listen.
We'll figure this out. Please get in the car. We'll swing by the lake and then we'll go to the station. Okay?
I'm a beer. No, I'm going to drink this wine in a turtleneck. Like an asshole.
Mr. Wake, have you seen Stucky, the guy who owns this place?
I realized I couldn't tell her what had happened in the forest. She wouldn't have believed
God,
me.
I love those adverts.
And then she wouldn't have helped me with Alice.
Hey, wasn't the calendar for the 1970s too? When we were in the cabin?
Mr. Wake, did you happen to kill the man you just killed? He's been missing since you killed him.
A candy-colored clown they call the Sandman.
Title drop.
Tiptoes to my room every night and Just a sprinkle stardust and a whisper.
End of episode 1.
Everything is alright.
Yeah, late title drop.
Then I drift away.
I like these little... Alan Wake 2 does this too. You get some music in between episodes. And I like some Roy Orbison. I think I do have to skip it though before I get DMCA'd.
Previously on Alan Wake. I came to Bright Falls with my wife, Alice.
Thank you for coming here with me. I thought maybe you could write here.
I don't want to hear it. God damn it, Alice.
Now, she's missing.
Alice? Alice?
I woke up behind the wheel of a crashed car. I'm missing a week. I was attacked by shadowy men straight from a nightmare. The sheriff took me to the lake Alice and I had stayed at.
It was a good scream.
But the cabin had disappeared.
Like, the voice acting in here is great. Alright. If I'm going to call it a night, I think it's best to do so at the end of an episode. So next time we start, we can get the last time on. Does that make sense? I think this would be a good place. I'm pretty sleepy. Was this game episodic or is this an affectation? This is an affectation, 100%. The game is not episodic. It wasn't released as episodes. It was, it's split up into episodes with a previously on every time. Just for the flavor of it. I also have an Xbox 360 and a copy of Alan Wake.
You're pretty sleepy? More like you're pretty lucky Bunsen Goo.
Okay, would you like listen? Hang on a second. You can't just say that to me.
Last time on Alan Wake Z.
Before next week, I'll go ahead and boot up my 360 and open up Alan Wake and see if that poster's in the original too. I'll go ahead and maybe take some footage of it and I'll see if that's the real deal. Because that would be really interesting if it is. That would be fascinating. Another thing we're going to have to do next time, I think. Oh, we do need the product placements. There's like big Verizon billboards. They're hilarious. I butterfingered a glass cut my food. Left a blood trail because I didn't notice. I have no dustpan. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. No. I hope things get better. Oh gosh. There is a whole commercial. Oh my goodness. What else are we going to have to do? Oh, there is a 30-minute long live action Bright Falls short film that takes place just before Alan Wake. We should watch it. At some point we should watch it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm slightly worried about doing it on stream because I probably won't have much to talk about over it, and it'll just be here, sitting here watching a 30-minute YouTube video. But that's probably okay, right? Streamers do that all the time. Streamers do that a bunch, don't they? That's probably fine. Yeah, that makes me worried. Oh my goodness.